Nothing keeps a movie in the cultural consciousness quite like an enduring mystery which leaves fans debating precisely what happened forevermore. And while filmmakers might sometimes be compelled to drop the veil and finally let fans know what was really going on, others have decided that the secret is better left a secret and categorically refuse to give the game away. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 movie secrets they'll never tell you. Number 10. Who is infected at the end? The Thing. John Carpenter's sci-fi horror classic The Thing concludes with one of the most tantalizing and oft-debated endings in cinema history, as the Antarctic research station burns down while remaining survivors MacReady and Childs slowly freeze to death, with neither sure which of them is infected by the Thing. One of several prominent theories was positioned by the film's cinematographer, who suggested that an eye gleam is visible in individuals infected by the Thing, and as Childs has this gleam in the final scene, he must be the Thing. But in a recent interview with comicbook.com, the ever-irreverent Carpenter discredited this idea and suggested that he himself is the only person who knows for sure which of the two is infected. When prodded to verbalise the answer, Carpenter refused, saying that he cannot tell, presumably preferring to keep the iconic ending steeped in ambiguity forevermore. And honestly, who can blame him? We're still talking about it now, so he obviously did something right. Number 9. What is lithium mode? Back to the Future Part 2. It may seem like a relatively trivial mystery compared to most of the entries on this list, but all the same, the question has been burning in the minds of fans for almost 35 years now. What the hell is lithium mode in Back to the Future Part 2? After Marty, Doc and Jennifer travel to the future of 2015, the future, 2015, spooky. Jennifer spies upon a less than happy middle-aged Marty in the McFly household. The sequence provides glimpses of various futuristic technologies, the most bizarre and unexplained of which is lithium mode. After entering his home, Marty presses a button only for a voice to suddenly say, "Lithium mode on," before Marty complains about his kids turning it off. Now, it's not exactly a secret that lithium-based drugs are used to treat depression and bipolar disorder, but why exactly would Marty's house have a mode for that? Or is it simply a power setting for the house, given that the lithium is also a common component of batteries? Don't expect either director Robert Zemeckis or writer Bob Gale to ever elaborate on the mystery though, given that on the movie's DVD commentary they flat out confirmed that they never actually decided for themselves what lithium mode is, but simply thought that it sounded futuristic. Cheeky. That's what it is. Cheeky. Number 8. Was Donnie dead the entire time? Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko is a fascinatingly imaginative sci-fi thriller that's been widely discussed and debated by film fans at large over the last near quarter century, and particularly with regard to its elliptical ending. One popular fan theory is that Donnie, who dies at film's end, was actually dead throughout the entirety of the movie, as was posited to writer-director Richard Kelly by NME back in 2016. But the ever-enigmatic Kelly coolly sidestepped the question with effectively a non-answer which did nothing to demystify the ending. He said, "I don't have an answer to that question. I think the film argues that life and death can perhaps coexist, but time is not necessarily a purely linear thing." Granted, there's very little benefit in Kelly explaining his movie and ripping away all the intriguing ambiguity, no matter that his director's cut arguably reveals a bit too much for its own good. All the same, by keeping shtum on the exact nature of the ending, he sensibly keeps the mystery alive forevermore. Number 7. What does Bob whisper to Charlotte? Lost in translation. Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation famously ends with fading movie star Bob whispering some departing words into the ear of college grad Charlotte, words which are inaudible to the audience. Though some fans have attempted to decode Bob's words, with the most commonly accepted interpretation being, "I have to be leaving, but I won't let that come between us, okay?" There's never actually been concrete confirmation on the matter, and you shouldn't expect Coppola herself to ever offer any elaboration either. In a 2020 interview for BBC's Life Cinematic series, Coppola revealed that she originally intended to dub an audible line over the shot, but during the editing process decided that it played better if it was just between them and the audience puts their own interpretation. Given that the mystery of Bob's final line is by far the most discussed aspect of the movie, it was certainly a smart call, as is Coppola's evident refusal to put fans out of their misery and tell them what he said. Number 6. Is COBB dreaming? Inception. Few films have ended in more agonizingly ambiguous fashion than Christopher Nolan's sci-fi masterpiece Inception, which concludes with COBB seemingly being granted passage back to the United States and reunited with his children. Except the closing shot of a spinning top not quite toppling over leaves audiences to ponder whether we're witnessing objective reality or one of COBB's dreams. Interviewers hassle Nolan for a concrete answer every single time he joins the press circuit to promote a new film, yet he's remained impressively tight-lipped on the matter. Though Inception star Michael Caine claims that Nolan told him that any scene featuring his character, which would include the ending, are reality, Nolan hasn't ever revealed the truth himself. Rather, Nolan has frequently repeated one simple explanation. I think it was producer and wife Emma Thomas who sort of pointed out the correct answer, really. The point of the shot is that DiCaprio's character doesn't care at that point. Basically, COBB has accepted whatever reality he has been presented with, whether real in a traditional sense or part of a dream. And given that Nolan has held this line for well over a decade, it's likely all we're ever going to get from him. Number 5. Why doesn't Khan remove his right-hand glove? Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is pretty much the perfect Star Trek movie, though one minor aspect of its creation has nevertheless puzzled fans for over 4 decades. Why the hell does legendary villain Khan keep his right-hand glove on for the entire movie? He removes his left-hand glove while making his iconic entrance, but never does the same with the right one, leaving it on right up until his death at film's end. Spoiler alert. On the movie's Blu-ray commentary, director Nicholas Meyer talked a little bit about his methodology behind the glove staying on, albeit while dodging the opportunity to fully explain it. He said, "I'm a big opera fan, so this movie is very operatic, dramatic and theatrical, and slowly he reveals himself, but never removes the other glove. I said, don't take off the other glove, and people have always said, why doesn't he take off the other glove? And I always turn the question around and say, why do you think he doesn't take off the other glove?" Meyer then went on to basically confirm that he won't ever be answering the question, saying, "It's not my job to supply answers, it's your job as the audience to supply answers." Well, damn. If Star Trek is something that you're interested in learning more about though, make sure you head over to our sister channel, Trek Culture, where you can catch all the latest and greatest about Star Trek. Number 4. What is Yoda's origin story? Star Wars. Surely the single biggest mystery in the Star Wars franchise relates to the origins of Master Yoda, particularly the names of his species and home world, and also how he came to become one of the most powerful Jedi Masters in the universe. In a rare case of George Lucas exercising restraint, Yoda's enigmatic nature was a wholly conscious decision on his part, and more than 40 years after Yoda made his debut, the IP has held firm in that regard. Now, given that Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney back in 2012 and no longer holds any real creative authority over the franchise, the new Lucas-less regime could absolutely turn on a dime and decide they want to drop the veil on where Yoda came from. And yet, with purists like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau currently in senior creative positions within the franchise, it feels like this is the one big secret that Star Wars will actually retain forevermore. While a Yoda Disney Plus series which reveals every last morsel of his past would certainly pull huge numbers, it would also potentially be one of the biggest creative missteps the franchise could ever make. Though the presence of the Mandalorian's Grogu makes it more likely that a little more light will be shed on Yoda's species in the future, it's also highly unlikely they'll ever be given a name or an explicit origin story. Number 3. Does Rose die at the end? Titanic. Titanic is an unapologetic heart-on-sleeve movie that doesn't leave much for the audience to debate, though its final scene is nevertheless incredibly vague. When an elderly Rose goes to sleep and James Cameron cuts to a vision of a younger Rose and Jack meeting on Titanic's grand staircase, the audience is left to decide for themselves whether Rose is dreaming about Jack or has died and been reunited with him in the hereafter. Don't expect Cameron to ever demystify the situation though, as on Titanic's DVD commentary, he flatly rubbished the idea of ever doing so. He said, "The big ambiguity here is she alive and dreaming, or is she dead and on her way to Titanic heaven? I'll never tell. Of course I know what we intended. The answer has to be something you supply personally, individually." Hell, Cameron even refused to fully explain the scene to actress Gloria Foster when it was being shot, telling her, "You don't need to know." Do you think? Maybe she should have been told. Although, I suppose, all she really had to do was close her eyes. Does that mean you're dead? Does that mean you're asleep? I guess it doesn't really matter. Number 2. Were the film's events real or not? Total Recall. Total Recall's brilliant ending has left fans feverishly debating its meaning ever since. Were the events of the film real or simply part of Douglas Quaid's fantasy memories? And despite director Paul Verhoeven being asked about the ending every single time he comes out of the woodwork to promote a new film, he's remained steadfast in his refusal to give fans an answer. In a 2016 interview, he said, "Total Recall doesn't say whether it's reality or it is a dream, you know? It's really saying there's this reality and there's that reality, and both exist at the same time. I wanted it to be that way. I felt that basically I should not say this is true and this not true. We worked very hard to make both consistent and that both would be true. And I think we succeeded very well. So I think of course there is no solution. Hey, it's both true." Basically, this is Verhoeven rather generously letting fans on both sides of the argument win, all while refusing to show his hand and give an authoritative stamp on the ending. Smart move, I say. Number 1. What does the entire movie mean? Mulholland Drive. David Lynch has admittedly built his entire brand on mesmerizing the audience with incredible surreal imagery, even if the precise meaning of said imagery is totally elusive. And that's never more apparent than in his magnum opus, Mulholland Drive. Though there are certainly some solid interpretations of the narrative, primarily that the first portion of the story is a dream and the second part the horrific reality, Lynch has himself categorically refused to shed much light on the matter, preferring to let his work speak for itself. Hell, the guy doesn't even tell his cast precisely what they're working on. Beyond including a series of 10 nebulous clues with the film's DVD release, Lynch has declined to offer fans any help and rejected or ignored all literal-minded interpretations of the movie. And honestly, at this point, it would probably be actually disappointing if Lynch suddenly decided to strip the mystery away and do a tell-all. And that's everything for our list. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.